In 1964, the United States government stole from every single American. Not with tanks, not with a law that made the front page. They did it quietly, surgically, and they did it in your pocket. They swapped out your money. And almost nobody noticed until it was too late. Here's what's wild. The same trick is being run right now, on your gold, on your crypto, on everything you think you own. And once I show you how they pulled it off in 1964, the exact mechanism, the cover story they used, and who knew in advance, you will never look at a coin, a dollar, or a digital wallet the same way again. Let's go back. 1964, America is humming, the suburbs are booming, cars are getting bigger, the economy looks great, on paper. LBJ is in the White House. The Vietnam War is ramping up and getting expensive, and behind closed doors, the Treasury Department has a problem, a silver problem. See, back then your dimes, your quarters, your half dollars, they were made of 90% real silver. It was actual metal, actual value, not a promise, not a number on a screen. Real. You could melt a handful of quarters and hold something worth holding. Your grandfather's pocket change was a savings account, and that is exactly the problem the government couldn't live with. Because as silver prices started rising on world markets, something dangerous happened. The metal inside American coins started being worth more than the coin itself. Think about what that means. A quarter with 25 cents of face value was holding 30 cents of silver. People were quietly hoarding them, melting them. Some were even shipping them overseas for profit. The government was hemorrhaging real wealth, one coin at a time. So what did they do? They passed the Coinage Act of 1965, quietly, without much fanfare. And here's where it gets sinister. They didn't ban silver coins. They didn't stand at a podium and say, "We are debasing your money." They didn't even make the old coins illegal to own. They just replaced them. Quietly swapped in copper nickel clad coins that looked identical on the outside. Same size, same weight, same feel, same face on the front, but inside, a worthless metal sandwich. And here's the moment I need you to actually sit with. LBJ stood at the signing ceremony, on camera, and actually said, "The new coins will never be used as a store of value." He said that, out loud, with a straight face. Translation? We have made absolutely sure that your money is worth nothing except what we decide it's worth. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a quote. You can look it up. And here's the thing that should haunt you. It worked perfectly. Within months, every silver coin quietly vanished from circulation. Not because of a law banning them, because people felt it. Even without being told, even without understanding monetary theory, ordinary Americans knew the new coins were wrong. They held onto the real ones and spent the fakes. Economists have a name for this. Gresham's law, bad money drives out good. The public knew they were being cheated. They just didn't know what to do about it. Now, right now, stay with me. Because everything I just described, the substitution, the identical appearance, the government reassurance, the quiet disappearance of real value, that is not a history lesson from 60 years ago. That is this week's news. Let me show you exactly how. First, gold. Right now, on the COMEX exchange, the world's largest gold trading market, there are more paper gold contracts outstanding than there is physical gold on the planet to back them. The ratio at times has been 100 to 1. 100 paper claims for every single bar of real gold. Let that sink in. You can buy gold that doesn't exist. When too many people tried to take physical delivery in 2011, silver prices flash crashed by 12% in minutes. No news event, no economic data triggered it. No natural disaster, just crash. A signal, loud and clear. Stop asking for the real thing. And when actual nations tried to repatriate their gold, Germany formally requested the return of its gold from the New York Federal Reserve in 2013. They were told it would take 7 years to get it back. 7. Oh, years. Ask yourself, if someone borrowed your car and told you they'd return it in 7 years, would you believe the car still existed? In 1964, they swapped your silver for copper and told you it was the same. Today, they've swapped your gold for paper, stuck it in a vault you'll never see, and told you to trust them. Different decade, same trick. Second, crypto. When Bitcoin emerged, it was the first genuinely scarce digital asset in history. Fixed supply, no central authority, no printing press, a mathematically enforced ceiling of 21 million coins, ever. It was the 21st century version of a silver quarter. The establishment's first move? Ridicule. Called it a scam, a bubble, a tool for drug dealers and money launderers. But it kept growing. And when it started threatening the dollar's monopoly on digital transactions, the strategy shifted completely. Suddenly, it wasn't about mockery anymore. Suddenly it was about protecting consumers. Suddenly the SEC was everywhere. Exchanges were raided, founders arrested. Compliance costs piled so high that only the biggest, most government-friendly players could survive. And what did those survivors do? They created stablecoins, digital currency pegged to the dollar. Looks like crypto, trades like crypto, but it's not scarce at all. It's controlled. It is the dollar wearing a blockchain costume. And now the Federal Reserve is building its own version, a CBDC. Central bank digital currency, your digital wallet issued by the government, programmable by the government. They can turn it off, restrict what you spend it on, attach an expiration date. In 1964, they gave you a coin that looked like money but was hollowed out inside. In 2025, they're building money that looks like crypto, but is the most controlled currency ever invented. The costume changes every generation. The trick never does. Here's the part that never makes the news. In 1964, Treasury officials had internal memos predicting the silver depletion crisis years before it became public knowledge. Years. They knew the math. They knew the timeline. They planned the replacement in secret. And between the moment they knew and the moment you were told, there was a window. A window where the people holding silver could position quietly. A window where fortunes were protected before the announcement ever hit the papers. That pattern has never stopped. When do central banks announce they've been buying gold after they've been accumulating it for months, sometimes years? The Bank of China, the Reserve Bank of India, the National Bank of Poland, all quietly building gold reserves to record levels while publicly saying nothing. When did the SEC begin its crypto enforcement wave? After the most sophisticated institutional players had already restructured their positions, taken profits, or pivoted to compliant products. When does a government announce a new monetary policy? After the policy has already been quietly embedded in the infrastructure nobody watches. Think about that. The announcement is never the event. The announcement is the curtain call. The show already happened. You just weren't in the audience. Every single time, the public is the last to know. And every single time, the people who understood what was coming, not because they were smarter, but because they understood the pattern, walked away holding something real. So what do you actually do? In 1964, the people who came out ahead were not the ones who predicted the Coinage Act was coming. Most of them had no idea. What they had was simpler than that. They understood one rule. When the government tells you the substitute is just as good, check whether they're still holding the original. They weren't. The Treasury was sitting on silver. The public got copper. Today, the same central banks managing the paper gold system are buying physical gold at the fastest pace in 55 years. On record. Publicly disclosed. In the footnotes, in the quarterly filings nobody reads, they are hoarding the real thing while selling the public on the paper version. That is your signal. In crypto, the only assets that survive a government substitution are the ones with genuine, hard-coded, mathematically enforced scarcity that no institution can inflate or revoke. Not stablecoins, not CBDCs, not exchange tokens. The things they are working hardest to regulate, restrict, or replace, those are the things they are most afraid of. That fear is information. You don't need a conspiracy theory to protect yourself from this. You don't need to believe in secret cabals or shadowy figures. You just need to watch what powerful institutions hold versus what they tell you to hold. In 1964, the government held silver. The public got copper. The question isn't whether that's happening again. It's whether you're paying attention this time. The 1964 heist worked because it was invisible, because it happened in your pocket, not on a battlefield. Because it didn't look like theft. It looked like a minor administrative update to coinage policy. Because by the time most people understood what had been taken from them, the window had closed, the silver was gone, and arguing about it changed nothing. Every generation gets a version of this moment, a moment where the money quietly changes. And most people don't notice until they're holding the hollow version and wondering where their wealth went. So I'll leave you with one question, not if the swap is happening again. What are you holding when it completes?